Welcome to the Quantum Healthy Podcast. I'm Andia, a licensed addiction counselor, and along with my co-host, Laura Kissman, a quantum nutritionist, we will be inviting expert scientists, clinicians, survivors, and thrivers to distill their pearls of wisdom attained from applying quantum biology to their fields of research and everyday lives. Our goal is to bring you easy to understand principles and practices about the study of light, water, and magnetism so you can take your health into your own hands. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Quantum Healthy Podcast. We have a very special guest on today. We have Laura and I's coach, Jeffery Combs. And I want to just introduce Jeffery because he has quite the biography. So Jeffery is a renowned author and speaker. He is a consciousness, success, and addictions coach who specializes in letting go. Jeffery founded a corporation, Golden Mastermind Seminars, in 1998. And since then, he has coached over 10,000 clients one-on-one, and that adds up to over 100,000 hours of coaching. Jeffery's areas of expertise include sales, marketing, free enterprise, debt, low self-esteem, anxiety, anger, codependence, substance use, and dysfunctional families. Now, Jeffery has published 5 books, and that includes 2 bestsellers. And he has also delivered over 1,000 keynote speeches, and he has been featured on Fox, ABC, CBS, Lifetime TV, NBC, and as well as a bunch of other media publications, magazines, and radio stations. He has shared the stage with Jim Rohn, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Victor Hansen, Brian Tracey, Jim Britt, Robert Kiyosaki, Bob Proctor, Barbara Angelis, Dr. Judith Orloff, Myron Golden, Les Brown, and Fredric Lehrman, and Bill Laut, and the like. Jeffery, we are so excited to have you on the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you very much. And there's one other person I forgot about who was very significant, John Assaraf. I spoke with Assaraf at least 20 times early in his career and my career, from 2001 up to 2014. That's the last time I shared the stage with him, but he was also very significant. And thank you for asking me that question last night. And there's other people I could add. Pat Mesiti, the #1 inspirational speaker in Australia. I spent time with him. So I've been very blessed and very honored to have shared space with some of the most exceptional people in quantum physics and brain chemistry, spirituality, relationships, addictions, sales, marketing, branding. So it's a real honor to be here with you two ladies. And I didn't know how big your podcast was. I'm your coach, but I didn't know what the dent you're making in the quantum field and free enterprise and women and men and the people you had. So Laura and Andy, it's truly an honor for me to be here with you. So what a great culture you're building. And so I'm ready when you are.
Oh, awesome. Jeffery, thank you so much for saying that. And we're going to get into some of those topics you just mentioned, but I would really like to start out with your story. Could you just paint a picture of what your childhood was like? Because I know some of your history, but I'm excited to hear today.
Well, thank you very much. You know, that dresser behind you is amazing. That's walnut right behind you. So if that's not your house, buy that. That's a unique piece. It's captivating. So that's part of my childhood. I grew up with parents who stripped furniture and stripped antiques, and I participated in it. So I'm from a small town in southwest Iowa and northwest Missouri. So if you know it geographically in America, I'm from the real heartland of America. So if you put your finger where Omaha, Nebraska is in Kansas City, Missouri, I grew up right between those two. And that's in that corner, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, and then Kansas is right below it. But there's a place where those 3 states meet. And I grew up on both sides of the state line in Maryville, Missouri, and Clarinda, Iowa. I am the adult child of alcoholic and codependent parents and a narcissistic grandfather, and my father's family were all sharecroppers. So I had one side of my family are landowners. So they had 3,000 acres of land in southwest Iowa. Now that land goes for 10,000 an acre now, so you can do the math on that. And that was in my family. And so my grandfather on that side was an inventor, a welder. He owned a steel bin franchise, and he had corn and soybean, the GMO land. So back the yellow corn and so I watched my grandfather pouring Monsanto on the field in the big white containers that used to come to his land. He was also a feed corn distributor for Pioneer and DeKalb. And so I'm the only person who ever worked for my grandfather. My father never worked for him. My mother never worked for him. His son never worked for him. My brother never worked for him. I learned a lot of my entrepreneurial skills working for my grandfather and the next door neighbor who was a millionaire. So I spent from 11 years old to 20 years old working for these two men in construction, rehabbing, concrete, a whole host of situations. I put myself through college. I'm virtually I was an emancipated child. I was a man boy. I was a superstar athlete. I almost made the elite 1,100 in Iowa. If you score 1,000 points in high school basketball in Iowa, you're the elite 100. I scored 800 points in varsity basketball and played 4 sports. And so athletics, discipline, and having no life was a way of life for me. So my father was a Hall of Fame basketball coach. He also coached other sports. But from the time I could grow up, I had balls in my hands. I also had guns in my hands. My parents were gun collectors. So between having weapons and having balls, baseball, football, basketball, track, my whole life was consumed. So I had 0 childhood, and I was a performer. And I performed for no love, no recognition, because I learned real quickly that no matter what I did, it was never good enough. And I'm sure you can relate to that, ladies. It's a conditioned behavior that becomes an identity. And so much of society lives in that. And so I was the perfect child from 18 to up to 18. I never had any girlfriends. I never had any relationships. My entire focus was scholastic and athletic. And scholastic was very second tier to that. I wanted to be a professional athlete. And by the time I graduated in high school, I had so much rage and so much resentment and so much anger built up that when I walked out of my parents' house to go to college, and they didn't offer to pay for it, but the minute I stepped out of off their doorstep, I stepped off the cliff into 14 years of addictions. So I spent the next 14 years of my life in drugs, sex, alcohol, drug dealing, and living in high fight or flight, hypervigilance, in just I was just I just rode the rail of addiction, Andy and Laura, for 14 years until one rock bottom became the next rock bottom, the next rock bottom became the next rock bottom. And I went through a series of drug arrests, DUIs, public intoxications, drunk and disorderly. I went from all-American boy to rock bottom in a 14-year period. And fortunately, no, I actually got caught selling cocaine when I was 28 years old, and that didn't stop me. That was just the next stop on the journey, because I went to prison for 1 year, and then I drank while I was in prison. An addict does what an addict does. An addict always wants a little more. And the minute I stepped back into society, I was drunk in 15 minutes. Now, if you understand addictions don't rest, and so they escalate. And so by the time I reached 31 years old, 11 months and 17 days, I was suicidal. So scars are souvenirs that you never lose. The past is never far. So I toyed with all of that. But a real miracle happened for me. Because I got sober in a heroin alcohol clinic just down the highway in Stockton, California. And it was the roll-up bed type. It was a county hospital. It wasn't Betty Ford, and it wasn't Passages in Malibu. It was good old-fashioned where junkies go. And of the 26 people that started that day, I'm the only one who made it out alive. No one gets out alive. So I got clean and sober that day, and I now have 38 years of sobriety, which I devoted to free enterprise, building businesses, being my best self, being a Christian, and doing my best to be my best one day at a time. And it hasn't, I never relapsed on addictions. That was never the choice, but I relapsed on a lot of sabotage. I sabotaged myself a lot through the journey of 38 years. And so I'm here today to assist and empower people who have some of the same challenges I've been through.
Yeah. That's why I love you being my coach, because you've been through, the same things, and your story always brings a tear to my eye. So what was the cause and
Brings
effect?
tears to my eyes to relive it, just to feel
Yeah.
the pain at the because just like you said, scars are souvenirs. You never lose, the past is never far. So the body the emotional code remembers events that shape feelings, or it doesn't remember it. So that's the unconscious, subconscious, repressed, suppressed feelings.
Yeah. Now, was yeah, let's act, yeah, we can go there. So you talk about a lot about the repressed feelings, and I want to hit on the payoff today as well. Now, our addiction is our addiction. We're all addicted to more, but as we get into recovery, many of us, myself included, I'll speak in I statements. I was definitely addicted to I'm addicted to disappointment. I'm addicted to certain negative feelings. Can you speak how that manifested in your story, or speak to it in general? Because I really want people to hear that today. So such a strong message that I heard from you the first time I ever heard you speak.
Well, sobriety is a victory in a context, but even when you look at sobriety as a victory, then you're in force. So there's force, counterforce, and then there's power. So sobriety is an opportunity to be your power, to be in your power. Because then when you're an addict or you don't feel good enough, you're constantly in your head. So, and the signal to noise ratio that you live in is a very low vibration, because you're in a I'm not good enough, I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated. And I coached a woman right before this, who's a classic example of a woman who she lives in performance anxiety. She didn't pass the board at chiropractic school, even though she was highly qualified. She's deeply spiritual, has great conscious skills, but she doesn't believe she can build a business, so she sabotages herself over and over to fulfill the neurochemical craving that keeps her disappointed. In direct sales, both of you ladies, you see this frequently. People join you, they have aspirations, they have a few dreams, but they quit before they ever start, and they're checked out before they ever check in, and they quit. So if in looking at the whole context of why we do what we do, there's 4 levels of trauma that I focus on with people, and then there's a 5th one. So there's sexual trauma, physical trauma, emotional, and generational trauma. Any one combination of those 4, and then like right now we're under extreme siege. I mean, we're under trauma-based mind control 10x. And I mean, just this month, the month of May, with data centers being built, all the other situations, I mean, it's escalating. It takes a lot of skills just to be consciously aware of what's going on. And there's so much trauma in the world. There's also so much goodness in the world, but there's so much trauma that a large percent of the population will check out from it. And they'll say, well, that's too dark. That's too deep. I don't want to go there. I don't want to understand that. And so that level of denial just continues to perpetuate your addictive state. Because when you're addicted to a set of emotions, if you're not clear on why you do what you do, the signal to noise ratio that goes on in your amygdala and the reticular activating system. Now, I learned that from Assaraf. Assaraf taught me that real early. Assaraf had a workbook in 2001 called The Street Kid's Guide to Having It All. I'd highly recommend both of you buy it. It's a spiral workbook, and that's where I first heard of signal to noise, the amygdala, and the reticular activating system. So the reticular activating system is an emotional system that will search for a familiar feeling. It doesn't search for truth unless you guide it. So if your truth is you're not good enough, and your truth is I'm a procrastinator and I'm an avoider, and if that's your truth, then your reticular activating system will take you to that over and over and over. To let go. So letting go is the skill set. It's the ability to change and modify behavior in mid-moment. That's your neural net. So your neural net is the neurological network of neurons that wire and fire that form either higher consciousness or lower consciousness. Now, David Hawkins, who I'm a devotee, claims that 78 to 82% of the population lives in an emotional vibration below 200 cycles a second, or hertz cycles per second, meaning that most of the planet lives in anxiety, fear, and doubt most of their life. I mean, most of their life, which then creates performance anxiety, relegates them to being told what to do, and so they can just tiptoe quietly through life, and they'll arrive at their grave safely, never really experiencing the true emotional freedom they're capable of, because the body will stay in repressed feelings. Those are the ones that we forget, we stuff, we store, or the suppressed feelings. These are the ones that we sabotage ourselves over and over. These are the ones that we have mistake consciousness. We worry about mistakes, recreate them to fill the feelings, which becomes the payoff, disappointment. I mean, I
No,
could speak for hours on this topic.
I know, I love it. So this is all sitting in the subconscious mind, and yeah, with those, everything you just said, it reminds me of, when we shape, that's shaping beliefs, and the beliefs that are being shaped, like they're not serving us, and we end up making major life decisions based on this programming that's playing that's not serving us. So that's one of the reasons
Shows
that,
up in relationships. We'll attract our perpetrator over and over. We'll
ugh,
attract our parents, we'll attract our perpetrator. And even in codependent recovery, I mean, I'm not a novice at codependent recovery, but I still have sabotaged multiple relationships to fulfill the feelings in business and in life. I mean, I've had lost $1 million clients due to my own ego and due to my own sabotage. And like, why did I do that? Well, it's obvious, to fulfill a neurochemical craving of never being good enough.
yeah.
But see, that's where honesty, that's where step one, step four, which is fascinating how few people ever really enter into true recovery. They just white knuckle it, or they dance around it, never really taking the step into the quantum field of what's required to be able to separate your feelings from the events that shape them. Because if you
Je-
can't,
So Jeffrey, some of our listeners don't know the steps, including me. Can you just tell, when you say step one and step four, what is step one and step four?
oh, those would be 12 steps of 12 steps and 12 traditions of recovery. But I'll break it down to just simple steps. So
Okay.
step number one in any situation would be acceptance. You accept that you have challenges. And if you're not willing to accept that you have challenges, then you'll be in denial. Step number two would be willingness. That means you have the ability and the willingness to create simple, subtle changes that could be significant to you today. And then step four would be gratitude. You're grateful rather than disappointed. You have to change that whole ratio of, this always happens to me, that I'm grateful to have the opportunity to change the energy. And then forgiveness would be step four in this. And then step five would be honesty, living in rigorous honesty. Because if you don't live in rigorous honesty, you're in denial, which is what most people live in. And then that relegates your communication style to being a communication style of, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. I don't understand this. So if you don't understand, you'll just keep recreating the same situation to fulfill the same set of feelings. So 12 steps would be the 12-step program of AA, OA, codependent, CODA. I mean, it's a curriculum that's huge for the recovery community, but very few people ever really practice the steps. The steps are a guideline, and it's just one way to stay sober. There's hundreds of ways to stay sober, but it's a proven technique, and very few people don't have any discipline to stay sober, because they don't know how to change the behavior to continue to recreate the same situation. That's the skill set of letting go, which from my perspective is the most underdeveloped skill in life, business, and career. Very few people ever master their emotions to let go.
You don't have a sleep problem, you have a lighting problem. Most modern LEDs flood your home with flickering blue-rich light that keeps your biology stuck in a daytime mode, delaying melatonin and spiking cortisol, and harming your sleep. It's time to get back in sync. Introducing the Better Sleep Bulb by In Rhythm. It's the only flicker-free, infrared enriched, triple mode, dirty electricity-free bulb designed to mimic the natural shift from sunlight to firelight. Toggle between 3 modes to effortlessly support your body's need for repair and deep restorative sleep. Stop fighting your biology and start supporting it. Use our code QuantumHealthy for a discount. Click the link in the show notes to transform your home and your sleep tonight.
Yeah. This is why everybody could use treatment, right? Like everyone can use the 12 steps. The 12 steps can be applied to many things, but you're right. A lot of people, they don't do the work for whatever reason.
Or it doesn't even have to be 12 steps. It could be any modality that
Right.
will assist you to separate your feelings from the events that shape them. Because if you don't, then you continue to recreate situations to fulfill feelings, then you are the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. That's Louise Hay. I started studying her in 1989 with her brilliant book, You Can Heal Your Life. So that man that I mentioned I shared the stage with, Fredric Lehrman, he's a very underdeveloped, brilliant man that I spent a lot of quality time with. He actually taught Louise Hay in the 80s relationship coaching. She attended some of his relationship workshops in the 80s. I found him in 1996 with an audio cassette program called Prosperity Consciousness. And I shared the stage with him about 40 times. And he was a master cellist, understood, he taught me, from him I learned who Rupert Sheldrake was, who pioneered the morphinogenic field, the term monkey do, and the 100th monkey theory. That's Sheldrake. Fredric Lehrman knew him. So I learned a lot. I've learned a lot from I never had a mentor, but I've learned a lot from reading, studying, being a student, being attentive, and applying what I receive.
Yeah. Well, for not having a mentor, you sure are. I mean, you're a mentor to so many of us, being our coach, and however our path is laid out, how they say there are no mistakes, but at the same time, we are making decisions along that path, and yeah, you've knocked it out of the park.
Let's look at the whole mentor syndrome. So I don't believe you have to have a mentor. A mentor can be a tremendous asset. But if you don't have one, and this is what many people do in business, they'll go, well, my upline, my mentor, my leader sucks, or the ego will create some story to create a sabotage. Well, in responsibility, the responsibility is still up to you. And responsibility in the quantum field is ability to respond. And so what most people do, rather than responding to the stimulus, is they react to it. And so that's what sabotage is. And that's what subconscious, unconscious, repressed feelings. So there's a separation between repressed and suppressed. Repressed are the feelings we bury alive. My father attempted to embarrass me in 2016 in front of a woman I was dating. And he said, "Do you know how he messed our life up?" And I said, "Dad, she's fully aware of who I am." And then he switched gears and he told this woman a story about me in a basketball game that I had repressed. I fouled out of a basketball game. I got kicked out of the arena, and it was humiliating. So the emotion was shame. And I was 18 years old when that happened. And I didn't realize that until I was 60 years old. So that means between 16 and 18, that was a repressed feeling. And when I recalled that, it became completely in color. I saw exactly how it all happened. And that was a very significant moment in my life, because that was just another one of my sabotages it was the deepest sabotage I ever experienced as an athlete, because I fouled out of a game, got a technical foul from a referee, and got kicked out of the stadium, all at the same time. That was the most shameful event of my athletic career, and I completely repressed it.
And he brought it up in that moment.
He did. And he brought it up because that's what he would do to try and diminish my success. And that's my responsibility in codependent recovery to, in true humility, not to personalize that, separate the feelings from the facts, take a long, deep breath, forgive the situation, forgive myself, and let go. And then not be provoked by the narcissist who's looking for conflict.
Yes, that is a beautiful description of an example of letting go. Now, I'm glad you just brought up codependency again, because many of our listeners, that might be a term they're hearing for the first time. Could you define that in your experience?
Codependency is a term that was thrown around the 12-step meetings when I started back in the 80s. It wasn't real prevalent then. The pioneer of the term codependency that really took that to the next level was a woman named Melody Beatty. Yep. And she wrote a groundbreaking book in the 80s called Codependent No More. Then she wrote another book called Beyond Codependence. And so codependency is an addiction. And the loose term of codependency is enable, over-obligate, do more for others than you do for yourself. Codependency is anchored in childhood. If you become a man boy or a a child woman. And so you lose your innocence in a family due to circumstances outside of you. And I mean, it can come from sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and generational trauma, but primarily it comes from being in a family where you're forced to step up in that family and take a role as a child, which now you lose your innocence. So you become a therapist to your mother, a caretaker to the family. You're the fifth child of 9, and now you're the father. And then this will escalate through this. If you stay addicted to this, it'll escalate in personal relationships. You'll become the mother to your mother, she becomes a child. So it's a very deep weave, but broken down, it means enable. It means you do more for others, over obligate, yes, 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 very unclear boundaries. And then you find yourself doing things for others and you don't get any reward back from it because you've over obligated yourself and triangulated yourself or got gaslighted into it. And then you feel neglected or abandoned because you don't get any recognition for it. So it leaves a lot of hollow feelings, leads to a lot of stuffed feelings. It's very common for codependent personalities to be overweight, overwhelmed, a lot of debt, and they take on that to fulfill the instant gratification because they're not getting gratification from the services and duties. It's very common too for people in jobs. An employer will find someone like that and exploit them. So the employer finds someone that's a yes, yes, yes man or woman. They're a really good employee. Then the employer doesn't pay them overtime. The employer expects them to put in 60 to 80 to 100 hours a week. I mean, I coach a man right now who works for a law firm. He puts in at least 80 hours a week for 120,000. That's all he gets paid. And he became a grown-up at 11 years old when his father left the family, and his father had multiple affairs. And so he became the parent to his mother and sister. And so from 11 years old to 60, where he is now, he's still playing that role. In the last 2 years, I've assisted him to create better boundaries and to let go of the guilt he feels for not over-obligating himself. So when his mother passed, he went into just a complete meltdown because he felt he had not done enough for her. Well, this is a woman who was taking 20 medications a day. He was going over to her. I mean, just completely off the rails, his level of codependence. He had no idea what the term was until I started coaching him. And even after his mother passed, rather than feeling some level of liberation that he could feel free, he felt guilty that he had not done enough. Well, his mother traumatized him his whole life. His sister and mother singled him out. I mean, you understand this. You've seen this 1,000 times. Singled him out, and they spent 40 years picking him apart. And so he's going to attract a wife that's just like that and has a son just like that to fulfill the neurochemical craving of being emotionally addicted to a set of feelings and circumstances. This is the epidemic. Codependency is an epidemic. It is the biggest, widest addiction on the planet in mankind.
Oh, 100%.
Very
And
misunderstood.
people are walking around, they don't even realize they are codependent, right?
Everybody's codependent. And to even become sober in it takes a lot of courage and a lot of repetition experience to see how you're over obligating yourself by opening your mouth and saying yes, or wanting to rescue someone. And looking, now this is a contradiction, but when you're so addicted to looking for the good in people, you can't be objective and look for the character defects in people. And so this is how you get triangulated in relationships through what's called flying monkey syndrome and other situations that people fly into your life and you're like, oh, I'm obligated to this. It's very common when you build teams too, because then you take on you take on the responsibility of, I'm responsible for all these people. They're my minions. They're my flying monkeys. I have to take care of them. I'm homie the rescuer. I've got to make sure everyone makes it to the seminar. I've got to create the forum for them. I'm going to rent an Airbnb for everyone and put it on my credit card.
Right. Yes, that's definitely some codependent behaviors there that you listed.
I've been there, done it, lived it.
Okay, so tying in the letting go piece, because the way we let go is recognizing and sitting in the feeling and recognizing. What does letting go mean to you? Like, what are the main steps in your mind for letting go?
Letting go is the most important skill you can ever master.
Yes.
letting go is two words that it's a lifetime of practice. Letting go is a lot like Tai Chi. You never master it. Tai Chi is one of the most unique forms of martial art. And that man, Fredric Lehrman, was the Tai Chi master. I used to bring him to seminars. I would ask him to do Tai Chi for 5 minutes, and it would look like a set of clothing with no man in it. So the clothing was moving, and he was just so fluid in that. So letting go is poetry. So when you learn to let go, you're letting go of the feelings. So you're not suppressing the feelings or repressing the feelings. You're acknowledging the feeling. You feel the feeling. That's how you become skilled at it. You acknowledge the feeling, and the mastery of letting go is the ability to breathe, release, and let go on command, so that you're not the mind-body connection to those feelings. So if you're angry and someone cuts you off in traffic, and all of a sudden you're following them, you don't even know why you're following them, but you're going to get out of the car and you're going to kick their ass. I mean, this is now you've gone into a place called pride. And pride is also a major component of codependency and of all addictions. The separation between pride and humility is where recovery begins. Because until you can access humility, you'll just keep recreating the same situation over and over. You'll feel rejected, you'll feel abandoned. So letting go is a specific skill that you have to be able to have definition to letting go, because it's not just this nebulous two words. So you've seen the signs as bumper stickers, let go and let God. Well, there's context to that. And prayer is important, but to let go, it's you develop your ability to, in the moment, feel a feeling and realize that's what it is. It's a feeling, oftentimes based on an unresolved event, and you develop the skill set to separate yourself from the feeling and the event, so that you're not owned by the feeling. So that's what happens in road rage. So all of a sudden you're behind someone and you're getting out of the car and you're going to get in a fight because someone cut you off. I mean, this becomes preposterous, but grown men and women do it. Or they take situations, completely escalate it completely out of control to create drama, trauma, and chaos, because it creates a neurochemical high. Letting go is being able to feel the feeling, and you're changing a whole identity. You're changing like 25 years of your life or 50 years of your life, because you're learning the skill set of letting go. And the more that you can master this, then one's too many and 1,000's not enough never shows up. This creates an energy that will seldom relapse, because once you let go, most importantly, you're letting go of not being good enough and being right. So when you can let go of those two key distinctions, now you're in the middle of it, and that's in the map of consciousness. You've just crossed the border from courage, from doubt to courage to acceptance to willingness to forgiveness, and forgiveness to gratitude. So you start to live in that space right there, and then you're seldom triggered. You're seldom angry. You're seldom losing it. You don't procrastinate as often. You don't avoid situations. You make your bed. You stop rebelling against it. You do the dishes. You organize your life, because you're letting go of the trauma, drama, and chaos. In Canada and America, walk down the street sometime, and you'll see people's garage open. They can't get their car in it. There's a house across the street, 3 different owners in 26 years. No one's ever put their car in the garage in that house. It's like the house that no one parks the car, because whoever lives there, they turn their garage into a storehouse. And that's what many people do, because they can't let go of the rocking horse from 1956. They can't let go of their children's clothing because they might require it someday. They can't let go of their whatever they can't let go of. So letting go of, metaphorically, is the separation between the feelings and the events that shape them, so that you're not the mind-body connection to the events that keep creating your anxiety, fear, and doubt.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was perfect. And courage is all so when we're speaking about the maps of consciousness and the you've touched on this several times in this conversation now. 200 is also, in at least in my opinion, that's courage. That's where you need to be to face anything. You have to have the courage to recover. You have to have the courage to do things differently.
And it's not an emotion. Courage is not an emotion. It's not categorized as emotion. It's a quality. And so courage is, I made this affirmation. Courage is a skill, and there's always a market for it. I mean, if you have courage, courage allows you to face the truth and face the consequences without trying to control the outcome. It's the breakthrough factor because it takes you out of denial.
This episode is sponsored by Viva Rays, the only eyewear company that truly understands your biology. Viva Rays are advanced blue light glasses designed with circadian biology in mind. Unlike typical blue blockers, they filter light in harmony with your body's natural rhythms, helping you sleep deeper, feel more energized, and protect your long-term health. We love companies that support biology-backed wellness, and Viva Rays is leading the way. Use code QuantumHealthy at vivarays.com to save 15% and support your sleep, focus, and natural energy the way nature intended. Enjoy this episode. Yeah. And I think control is something that many of us are, character defect is control, and letting go is a huge piece in that as well. Okay, we are coming to time, and I want to make sure, Laura, that if you have any question that we ask it now.
You've written some books, Jeffrey, two of which I'm almost finished, and they have been game changers.
Thank you. That's a great compliment. I appreciate that.
Game changers. So the Procrastination Cure, highly, highly, highly recommend this. I learned all these different procrastinator types and found out I am 3 very strongly. So need a lot of work there. And the other one, you just mentioned the title, The Breakthrough Factor. I've heard that you have 2 bestsellers. Can you tell us which of all your books are the bestsellers? Maybe tell us about your books and any you think people should start with first.
Well, I never intended to ever be an author. My objective was to be an entrepreneur in free enterprise and be able to create enough money that I could live on my terms and my time frame. So I was looking for a model how I could do that. And I found the direct sales model and never considered myself a writer. I have a degree in radio and television, and I just never wrote. I never wrote anything. I wrote term papers and did situations that I was forced to do to get a college degree, but I never sat down and like penned a book. But in my early speaking career, I started recording content, and I started recording content in a studio, and I started producing cassette tape series. So in 1998, I produced a tape series called Power Prospecting and Sorting for Professionals. A few people still have it. It's considered a treasure, a relic. It's because it was me really unplugged back in the day. And then I came up with a term called more heart than talent, and I built a brand around it. And then I recorded in a 10 CD audio program from it in my studio. And then I decided to have it transcribed, and I found a ghostwriter who could take the content and assist me to put it into a book. So I never wrote a book. I recorded every book. I recorded every book that is written in my studio. I wrote out the outline with an ink pen, a cross ink pen, and a yellow pad of paper. And I can go into a studio and take 7 bullet points and turn it into an audio cassette series or audio CD series or a download. And so my first book was called More Heart Than Talent. And I didn't know, and I taught myself the publishing industry. I eventually wrote 5 books and published 32. And you don't even know this, Andy, but I published 32 books in my lifetime, and it was an amazing experience. 2 children's books, and I was doing all this while having another business. But I became very skilled with I had the idea I would create the idea, record it, and then turn it into a book. So my second book was called let's see, let me think of it. But my second book was about free enterprise. And then my third book was on procrastinating. My fourth book was on anger. And my fifth book was The Breakthrough Factor.
Yeah.
And I wrote these over between 2002 and 2018.
I
And
think the one that you couldn't think of the name of was that the psychologically unemployable.
yes, that is. And that Mark Victor Hansen told me that book would never sell. He told me it was not a good title.
It's so good.
Hansen's another guy I spent a lot of time with. I did a lot of events with Mark I spoke at Mega Book Series in 2006. That's where I spoke with Barbara DeAngelis. That's where I met her.
Okay.
And there's Alex Hormozian was at that event, by the way, way
Oh,
back
wow.
in the day. He was the actual host of that event. I forgot to add him to the list, but
Okay.
my favorite is Psychologically Unemployable and the Breakthrough Factor, because Psychologically Unemployable is about free enterprise. Now, my books originally had a lot of mistakes in them. They weren't proofread very well. Since I went back and hired people to really clean them up, I re-edited every book. So they're at the best of the best I've ever had them. I don't have any plans to write another book. My books barely sell as they are. I learned a lot about the book industry. Writing a book is cool. I mean, it's like a business card, but unless you have plans and have an agent to really take that book to the next level, I mean, you're looking at $250,000 to really take a book to the next level. That's if you have the money and the time, and you got to do tours and other situations. Now, if you become a well-known author, I mean, Simon and Schuster or Wiley and Sons might knock on your door, but I wrote books primarily for my database, and I'm very honored that the Breakthrough Factor is my finest piece of effort that I brought to the table. People compliment me on the procrastination book. I've never even read the book. I've never read any of my books. I don't have to read them. I recorded in the studio. I live them. So, but the Breakthrough Factor is my favorite book. And I did an interview with KRON in Cape Coral, Florida, back in 2018. That was cool. I was on a couple of The Balancing Act on Lifetime. Now, Brian Tracey interviewed me on one of my books. So the books have been a unique experience, but that's not what I do. Is coach. I don't write. I'm not a writer. I'm a coach, and that's my platform is 12,000 clients one-on-one, over 100,000 hours one-on-one. That's what I do best. Writing is something I do. That can put something in people's hands so they can feel it and have a physical form of it. But what I do is coach.
Well, you're an amazing one. So we want to close this out and ask you our signature question, and then we'll ask you where people can find you. So before we go there, what does quantum healthy mean to you in your eyes?
Well, I like what I love about Laura right there is I love your colors, Laura. I mean, your whole glow, both of you ladies, your glow is amazing. And I can see the yellow, the pink, and the violet above each of you. So I love your brand there, Laura, the hummingbird. Right outside my window, Laura, I see a hummingbird every single day, like right there on one of those Venus flowers. So quantum wellness means more than one. Obviously, it's multiple. So multiple wellness is very important. What you are bringing to free enterprise in the world is very significant, because wellness is a wide word, and it has there's many definitions of what it can do to your body. And right now I'm about ready to take on a parasite cleanse. I'm ready to start that. Like today, I have it sent to me. And water, detoxing, cleansing, foot reflexology, Reiki. I'm very skilled at all of them. I practice them daily. I'm my own wellness coach. I'm my own wellness store. Wellness it's the whole circle. It's spirituality, health, exercise, community, culture, it's the whole package, and promoting it and bringing it to assisting people to step out of the matrix, out of the Rockefeller Foundation, out of the 3 square meals a day. You know, it's interesting. Breakfast was invented by the Rockefeller Foundation. Orange juice didn't exist till the 1920s. We aren't designed to eat 3 meals a day. 100 years ago, people would eat maybe once a day, and they would fast. Fasting is something we should be doing much more frequently. We don't do it. So wellness is a commitment. Very few people commit to it because they're so addicted to instant gratification. And the food industry is just absolutely capitalized on it. And then all the signs and symbolism, like for instance, an Oreo cookie has a double French cross on it. I challenge you to look and see what that means. What's that white glue paste that's in the Oreo cookie? I mean, a Dorito is shaped like this. Why does it taste so good and feel so bad later? I mean, the fake meat. I mean, just recently I ate in a restaurant, a filet is 2 inches tall. They brought the filet, it was 1 inch tall. That's not possible. I mean, it was a 1 inch filet. So it was either fake meat or they took a ribeye and cut the center out of a ribeye and sold it as a filet. I mean, and wellness is the ability to spot that and understand that and be able to be clear and to be able to walk away from instant gratification, something that's going to take. I'm addicted to ice cream. You ever heard people say that? Well, what is ice cream? I mean, what is ice cream that you buy in the store? Ice cream that your parents made for you at a church social with real salt and real milk and real sugar back in the day. I mean, it would be a completely different situation.
With the ice cream. Oh, thanks, Jeffrey. Well, that's part of the mission of this podcast is to help people take their health into their own hands. And you really encapsulated it with your definition. Thank you. And where can people find you? How can people connect with you?
You can find me on all social media sites. I'm on all of them under my name. My brand is my name, Jeffery Combs. It's with an E, Jeffery. I have a very simple website, goldenmastermind.com. You can also find that under Jeffery Combs. And as I said, what I do is I coach. I offer 20-minute coaching sessions if you're consider hiring a coach. It's a free session, no obligation. If you'd like to speak to me and you have any interest in hiring me to be a coach, I offer it. And you can find that at goldenmastermind.com. And it says free 20-minute. It gives you an opportunity to sign up for a coaching session. It's a 3 questionnaire. You can also message me on any social media site and I'll respond to you very quickly.
So you're on Instagram, Facebook?
All of them.
All of them?
And we'll
All
make
of them.
their link.
LinkedIn? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeffrey, it is my honor and privilege to thank you today. I'm going to mention about 5 things. First, your journey, both the suffering in childhood. Obviously, there was, athleticism and so much drive in there, but eventually you went down, you hit rock bottom. And I just want to mention, I'm reading Breakthrough Factor, and you mentioned you want to get to rock now, or don't wait for rock bottom.
Rock middle.
Rock, yes. So, okay. So anyway, thank you for that rough journey and for achieving all the forms of sobriety that you have. Thank you for your relentless research to get to the root of your own issues, and obviously all the introspection that's come with that, and this consciousness that has emerged that you now share. Thank you for recording / writing all your seminars, and now giving us these beautiful books to capture your life lessons forever. Thank you for your gift at entrepreneurship and your passion and understanding to coach it to those of us that choose you. And finally, just know that you are an exceptional, brilliant, disciplined, and committed human being. And we just thank you for the time you gave us today, because many, many more people are going to hear this and they're going to benefit from all these gems.
Thank you deeply, Laura and Andy. It's my absolute honor to be here with you. And what you are doing with your podcast is amazing. Like I said, the following you're creating it's a direct reflection of the value you're bringing. I mean, your value ladder is high. Thank you for having me as your guest.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. And thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to the Quantum Healthy Podcast. We hope you found some value in this information. And if you feel inspired, please share it and leave us a 5-star review. This will help us reach so many more people. If you want to connect with Laura, you can find her at laurakistmanwellness.com and Endia at endiaray.com. Links are below in the show notes. Now, go find some sunlight and embrace your own quantum healthy.